There is a amazing quote that says, we first make our habits and then our habits make us. And that means that we are what we constantly do, what we do every day, what is our constant and repetition of actions. This is our subject of the new podcast today. Hello, Susan.
Hi, Alessandro. I'm super excited. This is such an awesome topic.
Why are you so excited about this topic?
Everybody, I think, can relate to it, right? We all have some habits that we really enjoy and some we don't do so much. And I'm so excited to talk about like how important our habits. I think they're super crucial, as you said, because that's what our life is based on, and every day is based on, right? I mean, 50, almost half of our day we spent in autopilot. And so what is an autopilot? It's basically, it's our habits that are driving us, as you say. So for me, it's just so exciting to talk about it. And yeah, our mind is just so lazy. It wants to save energy.
You know,
So
you said about the autopilot, it's so funny because sometimes I feel when I talk with people that says, okay, I woke up the morning and I become very good in being an artist, a singer, or in my job, in marketing and coaching. It's not like this. It's the repetition of what we do every day. And what you said about autopilot, it's very interesting because you said 50%, almost 50% of the time of the action is in autopilot. And if you start to ask yourself, is this action that I do useful for what I want? Good, it's awesome. But if this one are bringing you to another direction from what is good for you, what is your purpose, what is your values, so at this point you're fucked. So
yeah,
knowing very well where is our autopilot is very important.
yeah, and I think that's kind of the challenge as well with habits, because they are created so quickly. We just need to repeat something for like 90, I think 90 days is what science says. Like you just repeat. Uh, for me, for example, I can say honestly, I think I have a not so helpful habit of staying up very late and going to bed very late. Um, and as I repeated this for like, I mean, a long time now, definitely more than 90 days, I can tell you. For me, it's so challenging to say, okay, now it's time to go to bed earlier and so on. I mean, I know there are a couple of hacks, and we will talk about that later as well on how to do that. But yeah, this is, for example, that just as I wasn't really aware and I wasn't really, I was just doing something. I was like, nah, this is like, I like it. It's okay. Mm-hmm. But the consequences are not so nice. And now I have it in a certain way.
Mm-hmm. You took a lot of time to probably also recognize that it was not so useful, maybe some
Yeah.
kind of habits, and question yourself: is this habit good or not for myself? It's one of the main aspect of our life, because if we don't ask ourselves if it's good or not, functional or not, it gives us just the idea that we are going in the right direction, but actually no, it's just a habit that can be not so good sometimes.
Totally. Yeah, I fully agree. It's just, and I think this is also for me the most challenging part of changing afterwards your habits is first of all really becoming aware of them and staying also in a kind and loving way, right? Because I think each of us has habits that are great and work well and support us. And then we have other habits that are maybe not so good for us. As you say, it's like, it's okay. I think each habit is just neutral, right? And then as such, it's not neither good or bad, but it can, as you said, like support us in our goals or really block us even in reaching our goals. And then I think it's good to take a look at them and just say, hey, maybe this is not so helpful for me. What's happening here?
It's totally true. And what the point that I want to touch also is where come from these habits. And from researchers, it says that our thought become our words, and our words become our actions, and our action become our habits. Do you agree with this one?
I absolutely agree. And I think that's also the reason why it's not really sustainable to say, well, when I'm, for example, when I'm going to bed too late, I just go to bed earlier, because the problem is not really the action as such, but the thoughts that are in behind, as you say, and also the motivation that is in behind. So I can say I will go to bed earlier, but that might work for a couple of days, and then I will go back to it because the habit actually serves a purpose. It's there for a reason, and there's so much more in behind. So, and that's what you say. I mean, it's basically, yeah, there's so much more, just so much more, not just what I'm doing, why I'm doing it.
I have this experience during my a very dark period where I can say that I was almost depressed. And I remember that during this period, I had this thought, this belief that I was useless. And this one become like, I will never achieve anything in life. And of course, this belief that become this thought become also an action, because all my actions in these periods were confirm what I was thinking, because I was just like, okay, you know what? I will never achieve anything in life. I'm useless. So why spend time in doing something productive? And the most of the time I was spending like in front of the TV, Netflix, or maybe doing anything, eating like hell, unhealthy food, and just because I had this belief that I was useless. And to change these habits, I had to change my thought, my beliefs, and starting to question the reason and finding a new purpose, as you said. Because without this one, we can change for 1 day, 2 days. But if we don't have a really strong purpose that gave us the energy to go forward and say, okay, let's move on and let's change, I will always go back in the same situation. So I had to start to question myself, is this one what I want? Is this one useful? I want a different kind of life or not? The answer were yes. Okay, so at this point that I know that I have a different kind of purpose, what should I do? Because our habits, we become our habits. We become what we do all days. And so we need to understand what is good or not for us in this point of our life. And also this one is a subject that I really care, because not all habits are good for us in all our life.
Yeah. And I think it's really beautiful, because I mean, what you just described is also a circle kind of we're going through, because in the end, when we do something repeatedly, it also feeds our identity. I mean, what you just described is also the typical circle of creating an identity from your habits, right? Because yeah, I think it's also kind of like the hen-egg problem that we have here, right? The more you do something, so when you watch TV, do nothing the whole day, and then it feeds into your idea of like, I'm useless, I'm not enough, and all of these type of thoughts. But this thought again also feeds into your habit, so it's kind of like a circle. And it's as you said, it's really, you need a bit of effort to say, okay, first, why am I doing this, what is in behind, and then making the effort of saying and making yourself aware you have a choice. And I think this is also the powerful thing to say, okay, I can choose to change, or I can choose to stay the same. It's the first, for me, it's the first thing that you do, is saying, I choose. What do I choose actually? What do I choose? What consequences do I choose? What's the life I want to choose? What's the habit I want to choose? It's really, I think it's really powerful. And I mean, this can go like in a not so helpful way, so to say, or it can also be in a supportive way, saying, for example, I created the identity for me that I'm a really sporty person. So, and for me, that's where I start this positive loop of saying, well, I mean, I work out to fulfill the idea of me that I'm a sporty person. And the days I do not work out, actually almost feel a little guilty. But this like feeling guilty is because I've created an identity around it, because I see myself as a sporty person. So I will do everything to fulfill this idea of me.
It's so weird what you say, because I have the same problem. I feel identify a lot myself as a sporty person, and I work out pretty much often, like 5-6 times a week. And even if I work out a lot and I miss maybe one day, I feel guilty. I feel like, what I'm doing. Yesterday I worked until very late, and I planned to go to the gym, and I just couldn't, because it was too late and I had to go to another part of the city. It took me like 30 minutes to go there, or 40 minutes, depending on the traffic. And so I decided, okay, let's move the day of workout from this day to another day that I planned that it was my day off. But yesterday, I felt like, I'm doing something wrong. Why? Why? Because just for our identity. And the why we do something, it's very powerful, because we can understand that it's us. We identify us with something.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's really exciting. I mean, we have so many, and I think, yeah, as you also said, I think the first step is really recognizing what is part of our identity, what is part of our habits, how do they all go together, and yeah, what are habits that we created right now? I mean, what are some habits for you that you actually enjoy and that you are reinforcing on a daily basis?
And you said before about choices, and also now, there are a lot of people who says, okay, it's so difficult to change. It's so difficult to start this habit. Is it difficult? Because if it is a choice, it is also, from now, I can also start a new habit. Like if I decide that now it's very important for me start running, because we talk about sport, I can start from now. Why do you think that is so difficult for some people to change?
I think actually, for me personally, it's something that is important to take seriously as well, because I mean, once we start with a habit and we ingrained it, it starts running us in a certain way. And I think it's very important to also make it as easy as possible for us to change a habit. And yeah, I have to be honest, I think for me, it's also challenging to change a habit for sure, because the mind also wants to save energy. So what it wants is saying, come on, take this habit you already have. It's so easy for you. You already know what to do. And I mean, it's like driving a car. When you start learning how to drive a car, everything's like, come on, I don't know how to do this. This is so tiring. I have no idea. I do this, I do that. I'm slow. It takes you ages, like just to get the engine running and I don't know, not to drive wherever at the right speed, and because it's not automized yet. So it's just so, yeah, it takes a lot of your energy to create that new habit of driving. Like, I mean, this is like a big one, right? But to automate behavior is just, so it needs a lot of energy, and just using one that you already have is like, yeah, okay, just do it, no effort.
And often we overthink about these new habits because, for example, now you took the example about driving, and when we start driving, we start to think, okay, I need to change the gear, and then the wheel, and then acceleration, and then brakes, and then I too many things, and then I am in the traffic, and then it's already thinking too far away. Even for running before, maybe sometimes we start running and we think, okay, but I can't run a marathon. Who the hell asked you to run a marathon? You just need to go out and run. You can also just run for 1 minute and it's fine.
Yeah.
You're starting a new habit. I remember I read one time a story about one person who said how she started to go to the gym. She's a very sporty person now. And she said, okay, for the first month, I start to go to the gym. I change my clothes. I go inside, and then I go back to the resting room, change again, and then go back home. This one for like some weeks, just to have the effort, to put the effort in going out from home and go to the gym. And then she started like to work out maybe 10 minutes, and then 15 minutes, and then 20 minutes, because we don't have from the beginning to think that we have to work out for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, for example, like people who are competitors. So make it easy, how you said, it helps us a lot to ease the process.
Yeah, and just allow yourself to be a beginner as well, right? And to accept that developing a new habit will be challenging at the beginning, yes, and it will not be like, yay, I know it. It will be like, oh, come on. And for me, I think what is also helpful, and I actually read that in one of my favorite books, Atomic Habits by James Clear. I don't want to spoil, but I really love this book. I think it's really helpful when you want to change habits. It's a great source. Seriously.
So the message is just buy the book.
I know. Come on. I don't get anything from that, but I just no, I really just like that book. But it also says like basically make a plan first, because usually like all the habits that we have, just they really serve a purpose. I mean, for example, as I said, like when I'm stress eating, for example, and that's what I enjoy doing. I don't really enjoy it, but to be honest, yeah, I do that very often. When I feel stressed, I still sometimes fall into the habit of eating just to relieve the stress. But the thing is, I mean, the problem is not that I'm stress eating, it's why I'm doing it. It's what is crucial to say, okay, it's because I want to relieve the stress. So now knowing why I'm doing that, I can make a plan. And I think that's also a first step to make it a bit easier, is to say, okay, so how can I relieve my stress in another way that is not eating and is also easy? Mm-hmm. Something I don't have to think about a lot. For example, I could say I do a quick meditation, but I already have a meditation ready, mm-hmm. right? In order to reduce the friction and to reduce the thinking, I need to have like a really clear plan on, okay, what will be my alternative? What will I do? Because my mind will drag me back into that idea of, come on, have some food, it will be relaxing for you right away. For sure. No, I mean, I don't know, or how has it been for you? I mean, what has helped you?
This part about making easy and avoid some frictions, it's super powerful. I have it because sometimes people think that because we are sporty people that we always want to go to the gym or go running or whatever. It's not. The truth is maybe one time a week I feel like to go. The rest I need to push myself because it's easier to stay on the sofa and doing anything and scratch my belly and think about anything. It's much, much easier. But what I do is help myself to go there, like prepare the clothes, prepare my bag already or in front of the door or already in the car. And I always have with me the bag for training, because I know that sometimes I just take the momentum and it's perfect. And if I don't have them, I will give up and I will not go. The same, for example, with food. I cook my food in advance, and then I have my meals ready for the days, for the week, because I know very well when I come back maybe from the gym and it's 8:30 p.m. I really don't feel like to cook. I don't feel like to stay half an hour, 1 hour cooking everything there. And so I end up eating just shit, just stuff that are not healthy for me. Because I know it, I know myself. I know that I did in the past, so I need to make it simple. And it's annoying sometimes to cook for maybe have 4 staff that I'm cooking and have the kitchen that it's a big mess, but it's so helpful the days after. So thinking about how I can make it easy, what I can do practically, it's very important.
Yeah, it's awesome what you say. And I think, for example, for sports, I mean, sometimes I'm also not in the mood. And what helps me, for example, as well, is really to make a precise plan, first of all. So I usually attend classes. So I really pick a class and I say, okay, at, I don't know, 6 p.m., I will go to TRX classes. And I already start planning in my head, okay, so when do I need to leave and so on? What do I need to have? And sometimes, like in the afternoon, not only sometimes, very often I actually do that. I change already to my sportswear. So I'm sitting on my desk already wearing my sports clothes. So I already have them on. So then it's almost impossible that I'm not going, because it's already, and in addition, I already tell my husband in the morning that I will go and do sports at 6 and I will be leaving at that time. So this is also another way I increase the commitment,
You did
telling
the
it to other people.
declaration.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, I also read that in the book, actually, of Atomic Habits. It also says that it's good to have like a really precise plan in head, or what you can do as well is do habit stacking, like saying, and that's what I, for example, also do in the morning, that when I wake up, first thing I do is meditating. Before I even get out of bed, first thing I do, waking up, meditating. So this is kind of, so waking up triggers the next habit already, so to say, saying, okay, this is the next thing. And I do it like so automatic right now. I don't even think about it, because it's like brushing your teeth, right? When you get out of bed and when you had breakfast, you brush your teeth. It's just so connected to what you did before that it becomes automatic as well and easier.
Because you talk about morning and meditation and habits, do you have a morning routine?
Yes, I do. So for me, I mean, waking up, doing my meditation, then I do a so-called fire breath. I do a fire breathing exercise in order to make me feel present. Then I have breakfast. I have a small gratefulness routine as well. So I think of at least 3 things I'm grateful for. I plan my day, and I also have a couple of affirmations that I'm saying, and I finish with a song that I'm dancing to, actually, to get up my energy, and then I start working. It's not a long one. I mean, it takes me like 15, 20, 25 minutes, something like that.
In fact, this one was a question that I wanted to ask you, because I also have a morning routine.
What's yours? Tell me.
And it's not so different from yours. Actually, I wake up, I do the same meditation first. And for example, I use your technique. I have my meditation. I have 2 kind of meditation that I use. So it's very simple. I do directly with this one, and I don't need to search. I spend time, whatever. So I do meditation. Then I always, anytime, do my bed. And this one is a subject that is I care a lot, because sometimes people tell me, but it's stupid to do the bed. What? Why? I believe that starting my day with a cold dawn, it's good. And also I think that it's very important to be responsible for your environment. Be clean, be tied up, because an environment tied up is also a mind tied up. And this one, then I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth with the weak hand, so I challenge myself. And I journal, and I also answer some questions about gratitude, planning, something like this. Yeah. And then I do stretching, affirmation, and visualization, and then a cold shower. And anytime that they say this one to somebody, they are like, oh, and how long is it? Depend. You can do like 1 hour of meditation or 2 minutes of meditation. It depends of you. It happened we met in London. We met in one seminar in London. And when we were there, I had to wake up very early, because our seminar started like 8.
Yes, it started quite early.
And I had to walk a lot, but I kept my routine. It was just, instead of half an hour, 1 hour, it was 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I just wrote one thing of gratitude, maybe 2 minutes of meditation, doing my bed, because depend. People think that, oh, so many stuff to do, panic. But no, you can just save time.
You know what? I didn't keep my routine in London. And I think, but that's okay. I actually started it again after London. But that's actually also, I think, an important thing is to say, to forgive yourself as well when you do not do your routine, or your routine one day. Because I mean, all the days you did it before are not gone. So you can start again and just forgive yourself. I think that's also something super important, especially in the process when building a new routine. There will be days where I think the lazy mind wins. And that's okay. I mean, at least for me, sometimes I'm like, especially when I'm building something new, it just takes time. So that happens.
I totally agree. This part, I'm so grateful that you touch it, because I feel it happened this weekend. I started to control more my food, my diet, from 2 weeks around now. And this Sunday, I'm a peanut butter lover. I love so much. I really believe that it's so great. But there is a lot of fat inside. So I avoided for 2 weeks. But on Sunday, I really felt I want to eat it. I really want it. And I did it. And I did pretty much a lot. But you know what? I stayed in my count calories, in my percentage, almost a bit over, but it's fine. And but the day after, I just restarted and say, you know what? It's okay. It was one day. It's not me. It's not that I failed. I'm not a failure. I failed one day. And it's not that the 2 weeks before was rubbish, but now we continue like before.
Yeah, and I think that's, yeah, as you said, I think this is really important to stay kind in the process. And because as we just saw, right, I mean, habits are just such a big topic, and it just takes time to change them. You need to understand why. You need to see how they're created, what kind of identity you created. There's so many things to take into account. So I think kindness in this whole process is key in order to really benefit also from the power of habits, and to really make big changes. It's about making very small, kind changes every day, and then at some point it will just explode.
I agree. It's a very good summarize of what we said.
Thank you. So I think, yeah, it's maybe a good point to stop this episode, or to finish today's episode. But maybe, Alessandro, you can tell us what the next episode will be about.
So next week, next Wednesday, we're gonna talk about perfectionist kills humanity.
Woo! Okay, what a topic. I love it. Awesome.
So, see you next week.
See you next week.